Welcome back to the North American LCS. Now we're opening up the LCS mailbag to see what you've been saying. Earlier in the broadcast, we asked you which team is the best at adapting to the meta and why. And here's what you've been writing in with. At the Logan109, LMQ is definitely the best at adapting to the meta. Their ability to master the strongest picks for each role is insane.
And I actually have to agree. I think LMQ is my top pick as far as these teams are concerned. I talked earlier in the show about grabbing Ezreal on Vasilii as an adaptation to the meta because you expect to be picking Twisted Fate as kind of a contested champion. I think it's incredibly smart by them. It works out. And they've continued to be able to emulate their own style despite the fact that the game changes a little bit over time.
Yeah, they're definitely a team of strong laners, and then picking the right champions in those roles. It's going to work out.
Yep.
Our next tweet is at WhySoNatsu. C9, they have shown a number of times that they are always quick when it comes to adapting to new champions or strategies.
That's true. Cloud9 tends to always find a way to basically play the correct game by the end of it all. I think especially now that we're back into 2-on-2 lanes, they look happier as players as well. Balls likes going for the 1v1s. We saw his Nidalee completely crushing yesterday, and that's a good sign for C9.
Yeah, they seem to struggle early a little bit in the season, but then we saw them pull out things like the support the Kog'Maw, right? And they took the Ori mid, but it was basically a support team. And then our final tweet is at AliRT92. CLG, since the new meta is around carry ADC champs and Doublelift is an expert on carrying games.
Yeah, I think he definitely benefits more than most other players in terms of the sort of general play style shifting that is like acceptable just to play Kog'Maw and go win the game for free that way. And Doublelift is used to running around, getting farmed by himself, having the team play around him. And CLG can go back to playing a two-threat team with just Link and Double doing damage. And that actually works again. So they're actually used to this style of play.
Absolutely. There's nothing to add to that because that's exactly correct. Well, thank you to everyone who wrote in. For those who haven't yet, though, you can still submit your answers for partial credit. We're at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. We're going to toss it over to Riv and Jat for our next game, though. On the way, CLG know when you play LMQ, you're going up against a team that's not afraid to take it to the mattresses.
LMQ is one of those teams that always wants to fight, and they'll never give up anything. Like if you're contesting a dragon, they'll never give you a free dragon. They always fight it. And it doesn't even matter about dragons. It can just be like a tower. It can be about a buff. So it's really important that we pick really strong skirmishing heroes and we're on top of our game and we're able to outplay them because these past 2 times they've been outplaying us.
I'm going to hold them to that. Strong skirmishing heroes. If they come out of Champion Select with a bunch of poke compositions, I'm going to be quite sad.
Yeah, biggest thing CLG has to do is make sure they're not just picking for themselves like they did yesterday, but instead picking to counter what LMQ is doing.
That's right. And as we hop back into games, I'm still Riven committed to the third. I can't even say my own name, but this is Joshua Jat Leesman for the next 2 games. We're going to be jumping back into action with LMQ versus Counter Logic Gaming. And this is a big match with a lot on the line. Why, you say? Well, with Complexity's lost to Team Solo Mid, LMQ are now guaranteed a playoff spot. And CLG could lock up their spot right here.
Yeah, and this is also a match to decide first place. If CLG wins, they'll end the week once again tied with LMQ for first place. But if LMQ wins, they will take the largest lead we've seen this split from a team with a 2-game lead separating themselves from second place.
That's right, and it would also extend the longest current winning streak in the North American League. Right now, LMQ are sitting on 5 straight victories and don't show any sign of slowing down.
Yeah, they have been innovating differently than other teams as well. For instance, we can look at Ackerman. He was the guy who did the full tank Gragas build. He's actually played Gragas 3 games in a row, but a different build every time. Yesterday, Vasilii chose Ezreal, only the 2nd time we've seen him in the North American LCS, and it was dominating in the way that it adapted to what they were playing against. And it's not like LMQ have been jumping on bandwagons. They're kind of blazing their own trail, making their own bandwagon, and telling people to hop on that one.
Speak for themselves for sure. So obviously CLG want to restake their claim to first place. Who wouldn't? But they'll also want to rebound after their upset loss to 8th place Evil Geniuses.
It was a tough loss, and you can kind of trace their troubles back to Champion Select. At least that's what CLG wants to say as well. If we were to just look at the composition from CLG's side, it was loaded with champions that they have done very well on in the past. Braum, Twitch, all the good stuff. But EG's team was picked as a good counter to what CLG was trying to accomplish. And then in the game, CLG was losing objectives. it seemed like they kind of panicked and they used all of their resources to pick up kills instead of the objective-based gameplay that had gotten them into a tie for first in the first place. And I mean, that's just a recipe for a 27-minute loss.
If it looks good on paper, that doesn't mean it's going to look good in the game. So we'll see what these teams actually have for each other and what they're bringing for this match. On the blue side, it's going to be LMQ this time. Ackerman in the top lane, NoName in the jungle, XiaoWeiXiao in the mid lane looking all adorable, Vasilii on AD, and more on support.
On the red side, it is CLG as well. Seraph in the top lane, Dexter in the jungle, Link, Kawhi in mid lane, Doublelift on AD, and Aphromoo on support.
Definitely seeing if Doublelift and Vasilii go crazy this game. We heard a little bit of how crazy Wild Turtle plays, but these guys have, with the kind of reintroduction of Tristana, been going a little crazy themselves with the forward rocket jumps. Not something you'd see back in the day when we were watching Ezreal plays, and we saw Sneaky get in trouble for forward aggression.
Yeah, well, Vasilii has actually done an amazing job of not getting over-aggressive in games, especially when they're winning. That was the biggest knock on Vasilii when we were coming into the split was, all right, sure, he's a dominating AD carry in solo queue, but that's just because he's crazy and plays over-aggressive. If we actually look at their standings right now, or their score lines throughout games, there's been 5 games where Vasilii hasn't died. So he actually does know how to play conservatively, or rather, not too aggressively.
Right.
Just the right amount.
Still getting in the right spots at the right times. Kog'Maw, unfortunately, seeing a lot of suspensions today, along with Elise this time. The Nunu gets taken out, does not want to be a composition that CLG faces this time. They take that away from NoName immediately. Kassadin still finding himself on the ban list consistently.
These Nunu bans. We thought he was going to be coming back into the NA LCS, and he jumps right into the ban list.
Yeah.
Had some dominating games this week as well.
It's a great hit. It almost takes out a composition in itself.
It does a lot against what COG wanted to do yesterday, at least.
Yeah.
At least. And also, I really wonder if they're going to use this last ban on Tristana.
Lulu. Very interesting. I can see that being banned out so Seraph can't have a safe top lane. Lulu's actually gone through quite a few times today, even to not be picked. So with that, there's definitely priority of, let's take away Seraph. Let's get something out of that. The Yasuo banned again, and instantly Ackerman picks up that Tristana for Vasilii.
At this point, it's just all a matter of what CLG wants to get on the rebound. There's so many heavily contested champions this week in the North American LCS. Yasuo and Kassadin are actually champions that have been banned in every single game.
Yeah.
Kog'Maw and Tristana have either been picked or banned in every single game as well. So giving up Tristana here was not really a choice for them once they decided to ban up the Nunu, unless they wanted to give one of them to LMQ and take whatever's left, because look at the power pick CLG still gets. They get to see Seraph on his Nidalee now.
Seraph does get the Nidalee Rise gets through this time. We've been seeing that a few more games, but it also has been seeing bans due to that late game prowess it has, along with a possible Tristana pick. LMQ now deciding. NoName, captain of the team, could get himself on a very mobile pickup of Xian here to create opportunities in the early game. He doesn't know what he's jungling against yet, but it looks like they will go with a pick-off team in their next 2 picks.
And for the very good junglers who at least have mastered Xian, he is the jungler you can pick into everything.
Yeah.
That's why every time we're on World Championship stages, Xian becomes kind of that ban priority. But before that, because there's not as many
moves
Lee
up
Sin
in the
masters,
batting order.
He's not there. The thing I really do want to talk about, though, is just Seraph's Nidalee. When he came over to CLG in the first place, Riv, Seraph was a top lane Nidalee player when everyone wanted to build their AP. He would do the Iceborne gauntlets into shoving. We saw Zion Spartan and Balls both have spectacular split push Nidalee games already in the North American LCS, and Seraph is arguably more experienced on the champion than both of those guys. So it's a very well spent early pick there by CLG. I really want to see if this is the game that Seraph carries.
We'll see what happens. More poke could come out. Link could easily take a Xerath here and add more poke to that composition. Maybe get these guys quickly made right back up. See Tristana not going to be able to be executing buster shots for a Yasuo. But like we said before, we also saw Trist or Yasuo being banned out single fashion because of the power either of them bring to the team alone.
Yeah, so as far as I know, the picks that were on the screen are set in stone, but there was a small bug here that we're going to have to just remake the champion select, so we'll be back in there very quickly. But really, talking about the picks we've already seen, a lot of general things. It's basically that they've traded Tristana for the Nidalee and the Braum. Actually, before yesterday, where Aphromoo lost a game on Braum, he was undefeated on that champion. CLG also wins a lot of games.
Yeah.
But seriously, the Braum is an incredibly valuable pick for CLG if things go well.
If they go well.
Yeah.
It's still a lane you can dominate with Braum. It's not going to be a Thresh they're going up against. That's the remake reason we're going in here. XiaoWeiXiao was not picking Thresh, so we'll see what they actually get into the composition. I'm going to cross that one off. So the Lee Sin is still there, the mobility and the opportunity of creating those moments in the early game. From NoName, we saw Amazing just do a red-to-red on a Lee Sin because of how aggressive you can be. So that might be something they throw into the mix. Something that LMQ hasn't, or still has a chance of doing, is Gragas Lee Sin. They've played it 3 games in a row so far. Gragas Lee Sin, top and jungle. Gragas Lee Sin, maybe a 4th.
And if we look over to the last few OGN quarterfinals that have been happening on this same patch, Gragas has been either picked or banned in pretty much every game. When it went to blind pick, we saw Gragas v. Gragas in the top lane because he does bring so much to the equation. However, you pick him to kind of bully the lane and wave clear, yet I hear from a lot of the North American top laners that Nidalee can take him on and actually get a bit of an edge. So that will be very interesting to try and track. Wasn't it Westrice on Gragas yesterday with balls on Nidalee? And he had a really,
he got
really
1v1 in the, in the beginning.
So you never know what's going to happen here. Seraph versus Ackerman, it is a different matchup in the top lane, completely different player, different style.
That's one of the things that you always kind of get beat up in the top lane against Gragas is he gets those resistances off his W, and then he gets the passive heal. So it's kind of hard to push him out of the lane, but now you have a Primal Surge. It doesn't cost that much, and you get the advantage to attack from long range and dodge out all the barrels. Kind of easy play, especially you get a few more bushes to play with for your movement speed in the top lane if you are trying to juke out the Gragas. So quite interesting if they get that pick in there. I wouldn't put it past Ackerman. No. I'd actually hope he picks it up now.
Ackerman picks a lot of different stuff. And as we said, 3 straight Gragas games, but slightly different builds every time. So really
that too.
Just building for the situation. One last thing before we jump back into Champion Select as well. LMQ, 2 wins to CLG's 1 in the 3rd matchup. Now that we're 21 games into the split, every game today is actually the final time these teams play each other in the regular season.
It's crazy to think.
So these 2 top teams, this could be the last time they see each other before maybe even meeting up in the finals with the collision course they're on right now.
Still pushing through.
So they do decide to lock into Thresh.
They did. In the end, after all that, be interesting to see the Orianna. You don't have a team that's going to go in and really capitalize off the ball crunch once you get a command shockwave down.
Honestly, even though CLG has ended up winning a fair number of games with Orianna, it's not the reliability that you really expect from them, especially with Ziggs making it through clean here.
They have TF.
I would expect them to more favor that, but they go for the Orianna and Jinx, a little bit more backline protection, potentially to try and outscale the Tristana, or at least scale with the Trist. Would be my only guess. Again, kind of surprising that they don't pick a Lucian with the Braum, but instead the Jinx for the later scaling.
There's the Gragas. Something... Okay, now we can kind of lead into this, that if Orianna was picked, LMQ would almost have 3 games in a row, top to middle, the same picks. They're staying with consistency, something they know just falls into line. This time it's the Twisted Fate, and XiaoWeiXiao still no stranger to that pickup.
You're right about that. The Orianna pick does deny a little bit what they wanted to do, but the Twisted Fate we saw from XiaoWeiXiao yesterday was spectacular.
Strong play. And when Orianna, with that Orianna, XiaoWeiXiao just played, he did go 7-0-6, so he knows what he's getting himself into.
Yeah, he knows the matchup quite well here. There's actually an interesting thing yesterday I was talking about with Kobe. We were trying to figure out why XiaoWeiXiao was pulling so many red cards, and it's not always a mistake early on in the game. The gold card is a 1-second stun at rank 1 of wildcards, but a 2.5-second 30% slow. So occasionally on ganks, if they're far enough up the lane, you actually want to pull the red card. But it's a very nuanced thing. The Rengar should be real interesting from Dexter.
Will he have it again? Let's see what they have. All picked and all laid out. So the early game now, we have a Rengar pickup from Dexter. Will he be able to make moves on this? Very interesting. We've seen a lot of Rengars that fail in the early game not be able to make an impact. Dexter doesn't get his Elise here, so he's forced onto that pickup, or at least that's what he feels comfortable on.
A lot of jungle bans. He would have either been pushed to Jarvan, Vi, or Rengar. A lot of this will have to do with how well Link and Dexter can actually synergize together to pull off those mid lane ganks. I really wonder how the early game's going to go here, because yesterday CLG had Seraph kind of have his best laning game, 2-0-2, but they didn't really try and snowball him. He just kind of did that mostly on his own.
Yep.
And the stuff they did bottom lane didn't end up working out because there wasn't much focus to shut off Seraph. The place LMQ puts their damage to try and shut down Doublelift or Seraph, and where Dexter ends up going, because Rengar only gets so many ganks.
We'll see if we can get those early. The game's about to go live, so we're going to click over to lolesports.com and see how you have been voting. At this moment, CLG is ahead with 63% of the vote. That doesn't leave LMQ with much. They're still in this one.
Yeah, we'll keep those votes coming. Tweet us at LLEsports. Use the hashtag CLGWin or LMQWin, depending on how these things swing or how you think the team comps are going to work out. The Jinx and the Rengar. Even the Nidalee coming in from CLG. A lot of stuff we haven't seen too much of from them.
Right, and this, kind of like a Lulu, that Seraph's Nidalee is going to give him safety play. He's not really the easiest thing to gank in the top lane. We have seen them go for the Nidalee for the early game ganks, but we also saw what happened when Zion Spartan got going as a Nidalee. See how they start this one off, LMQ versus CLG, and we are into game 3 here. Week 9, day 2. I can't believe we're 9 weeks in already. Some of the teams are playing the last time against each other.
Yeah, we have 2 more games this week, and then only week 10 and 11 of the North American LCS before 2 weeks of best-of-5 playoffs. So these guys are really needing to refine their playstyles before we go into this, because it will be a very, very competitive World Championship. And both these guys are in pole position to make it there if they continue their play that they have showcased throughout this split.
The line of scrimmage. They're really not going to get any deep wards in here. Very interesting start to the game. We are going to get standard lanes, however, but everybody giving each other a little bit of space.
Big thing to check will be whether or not NoName attempts to counter jungle Dexter. You have to be very careful about counter jungling a Rengar, because as far as running away from him after you've been counter jungling, there's a lot of brush in the jungle, and Rengar can chase quite well. But if you catch him,
he's almost at home.
If you catch him charging his ferocity when all his skills are on cooldown, you can do a significant amount of damage to him.
Looks like we're going to get him ending on the top side. Very nice. Making a little bit of action here to get Seraph going, or make sure that protection is there for Seraph. We actually saw Evil Geniuses, the way they played it was in the bumper, they said, yeah, we probably would focus Seraph, and they didn't. Because most teams have been finding when you do focus Seraph, CLG runs amok across the map with all the focus you put in that top lane. See how they decide to do it this time. He's pumping his cask. He's trying to get ready for drinks. If he was trying the bush trap, I don't think it was going to work.
He was actually hoping, I think, that Ackerman was hoping to pull for NoName, and he was trying to get forward position, because the big thing that Nidalee players want to do at level 1 is just get the mark onto someone and chase them down. Nidalee is so remarkably threatening when she gets that hunch passive on them. And she really just has zone control at level 1. If he made it into that brush, it would have been much easier to stop Ackerman in lane.
Oh, not even level 2 and they go hard. Aphromoo and Doublelift starting up the rush hour very early. Trying to stop out more. Vasilii gets it first.
Still won't make it to level 2 though.
Nope. Oh, really? What great harass. There's going to be a bit of 100 damage coming off of that level of E on Vasilii.
That's the biggest thing that Tristana brings early in the lane. It's one of the larger reasons, I think, for her resurgence, is we talk all the time about this remarkable Tristana late game and how the AD carry itemization favors her now for auto attackers. That stuff is true, but also, with people not building as much lifesteal and having lower access to it, we talk about how sustain is so much more prominent. Well, so is sticking, harass, and quick trades. And Tristana with 110 damage on explosive shot at rank 1 has the highest trade potential in the early game of all the AD carries.
Yeah.
So what the Tristanas have been doing in the LCS is just bullying the lane early, so they're so far ahead that their mid-game dip doesn't matter.
It's something that sticks in the game. It's got burns, bleeds, and whatever we've brought to Draven or Twitch and his poison have always been brought down because that is such a strong factor to have. If you can bring it back on that E and still have it now, like you said, without the lifesteal, it's definitely going to pay dividends in the end. We're going to get a quick pause up here as the laning phase continues. A few sips as Link chats it out with QC to get this one solved up. Playing Orianna in the mid lane. May not be able to control a bit at this time. 5K to 4.9 is no big moves have been made just yet, but we can see LMQ is going to be trying to get some early sight in that bottom lane with the Ruby Crystal start.
And it should be a quick client restart for Link. More, of course, going for the early sight stone. Not too much to take out of this early game, other than the fact that Nidalee is pushing up Gragas very early on. That's what the CS advantage is for. The waves are still kind of evening each other out. There was also a boot start onto Twisted Fate, which is fairly common, especially with potential early game gank presence from Lee Sin. He can use a lot more zoning potential if XiaoWeiXiao does play a gold card to keep Link away from the minion wave. But outside of that, it's been a very standard early game so far.
We see that pickup of the Twisted Fate along with the Trist. We heard Freak talking a little earlier about Ezreal with TF, things that can gap close, things that synergize. They get that a bit. They also have the long range still with Sonic Waves and that Gragas ultimate that they can use. LMQ with a lot of options in their engagements. CLG not really cornered into it, but gonna have to see something out of amazing on that Rengar before it falls behind, because NoName's definitely not gonna slow down.
Honestly, every time Rengar gets picked in the North American LCS, it seems like it doesn't work.
Right.
We keep seeing this,
That's
but
true.
the reason he is being picked so much is because his ganks at level 6 are top class.
Yeah.
They are pretty much unavoidable if executed properly, and that's going to be the windows that CLG needs to exploit to try and pull ahead in this game.
They have the composition for it. If they can get the good wombo of the Rengar ult into the command shockwave, they'll take out XiaoWeiXiao for sure. So they have their options, and they can easily execute. That's whether XiaoWeiXiao won't be ready for it, because he's always ready. Getting a little bit of dissonance damage to himself. See how Link is focusing that lane. He is going to level that W up more than his Q and try and keep Link or XiaoWeiXiao pushed back. Now in the bottom lane, Doublelift and Aphromoo getting a little bit of aggression on as Wave is pushing in their favor. They don't try to push this, but they're going to give themselves some vision, so maybe they will be going aggressive shortly.
It goes unnoticed frequently, but the way that Moore helped Vasilii last hit of the turret there, especially with Trist, was really awesome. They got every single minion. One of the big knocks on Tristana in the past was because of explosive shot.
Yep.
It was difficult or impossible to get every CS in the game. Nothing is actually impossible, and at that point, they traded the CS, hit enough of them low that when the explosive shot did proc, it would kill all of them. And they just got every last one of them.
It's a good mentality, Jab. I like
Nothing
it.
is
That's why we won Doombots. That's why. 5 minutes in, an even lane in mid, and also a lane we're finally seeing a Ignite in. A lot of very passive summoner spells in that mid lane today for safety. Not for Link this time. CLG trying to make an impact in the early game. Looks like Dexter may try to get that first move. Actually, it's the control, making sure NoName isn't trying to harass.
An incredibly defensive early pink ward right there. That will hopefully pay dividends later on, because that is somewhat the path that XiaoWeiXiao could take if he's looking to gank bottom at level 6. So getting that ward out there really early, it has the secondary purpose of maybe catching NoName in a gank as well. But it also means Link needs to cheat towards that side, because that's where they have the war control. Right now he's kind of in the middle of the lane.
Oh, going on to Link. He's going to be forced to flash. No. Peace of mind keeps him safe. Very well played.
And I'm fully convinced now that XiaoWeiXiao is pulling those red cards intentionally, because he does that almost every time early on in the game. You notice the 2.5 second slow made it easier for NoName to get in range, and it provided more damage from the card as well. So
Interesting.
TFs out there want to be like XiaoWeiXiao. Early game red cards.
Oh, what a kill on the minions. They played that perfectly. Catching Doublelift out. He thought he had a shield of safety there. And Vasilii gets some extra damage on. Moore going deep. Little mind games coming in this bottom lane.
Farm-wise, though, honestly, Doublelift and Aphromoo are kind of holding their own. Braum is not known for his early game superiority. They're just trying to withstand the early game of Tristana and Thresh. So far, they're doing it quite well if you look at the CS numbers. Just have to make sure to avoid the ganks and stay alive.
A slow back and forth. Doublelift and Aphromoo happy at the 75% mark here, just in front of the turret. Continuing to farm it out. Safe from NoName, who just wasted a little bit of time in the bottom. 30-31 though. Dexter's gone back to pick up that Madrid, so he'll be clearing through the jungle a little faster. Maybe we'll see that 6 come out and some action. He definitely has a good gank area for the bottom lane, but will it be there when 6 comes? He's waiting.
Yeah, well, even if he shares this blue buff experience, it should be enough to get him to level 6. This will be a pretty telling...
Ooh, calculated.
They got the... Hold on.
Holding.
Sorry. All right, so the buffs that we saw there on Dexter were persistent buffs. He doesn't actually have them. That was a small bit of a bug. For a second, I thought he stole the blue or something, but that is not to happen. He's level 6 with no buffs.
Right. Just off the pause. Probably disappear next time he grabs him up. Looking at that top lane, we've been talking a little about Seraph, who's not seen a lot of aggression this game. Usually by now he's had a few invites up to the top lane. Looks like he'll be safe so far. NoName also playing a bit more passive himself. They haven't really been able to execute too much, at least on the side of Dexter. Figured you'd be kind of in Rengar's face a little bit more, trying to prevent that 6. But they're all right with him just farming, staying off the map so far.
Yeah, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by NoName's Lee Sin thus far. A lot of that does have to do with the general positioning of the lanes. They did pressure Link a little bit. XiaoWeiXiao has escaped the early laning phase against Ori as Twisted Fate, which was probably the goal. Orianna is arguably one of, if not the best laners in the hands of an incredibly skilled player. That's why every time around Worlds, you see Orianna just kind of win lane against everyone.
She offers so much. You can just dance around her opponents within a fight. Very high skill cap there. But so far, even CSing in the mid lane as well. Get their blue, the junglers back for their reds. Now that red buff is proccing on. Dexter at full ferocity. Doesn't look like he has anywhere to use this. Everybody's back and buying for the moment.
Whoop. I think he wanted that gold card. But he still gets the CS nonetheless.
Nice ball placement. Blue for damage. Gets it out.
So the first Rengar gank is going to tell us a lot about this game and whether or not it can be countered, because that's another big thing. If Link doesn't have pressure in the middle lane on XiaoWeiXiao, a Rengar gank in the bottom lane could turn ugly very quickly, especially once Ackerman's teleport is back up on Gragas. A Gragas teleporting in is much more threatening than a Nidalee teleporting in because of the immediate damage he can provide. But it does appear like Dexter is stalking in.
Destiny.
Wow, they just noticed.
Doesn't want to use it. I thought he was going to come down.
There was no vision that happened there, but they recognized Aphromoo and Doublelift moved a little bit forward, and now the ultimate is spent by Dexter.
Yep.
Time for NoName to try his hand.
But it's our XiaoWeiXiao. Whoa! Approaching to the bottom lane. Whoa! Vasilii's jump gets stopped up from the Glacial Fissure. Doublelift gets exhausted immediately and dropped out. Bringing exhaust to the party was the upper hand. Beautiful play by LMQ.
That was so good right there by LMQ, specifically NoName. After they communicated all this for sure. They knew that Rengar had probably backed off from the gank. And yes, the Glacial Fissure stopped Vasilii, but they were still in range, and NoName still got a spectacular kick, followed by the timely hook of more. They get the kills and the dragon afterwards. But Riv, specifically, from a team's mindset, it happens all the time. Oh dear. Doublelift gets one back. Still down 2,000 gold. But really, I do want to talk about this for a second. The mindset of a team when they have a jungler there that's about to gank for you is incredible. Because they feel safe because they just have the jungler there, so they don't expect the gank to come.
No war.
Basically, well, He basically knew they just done Dragon. He'd probably seen the ward at the end of the river, so he walked by at low health, and a lot of people walk into that tri-brush before recalling. So that was a calculated move just based on player tendencies that Doublelift shot that rocket. And they're gonna hit the turret.
Nice influx of gold right there for him as he actually walked out of lane with about 0 cash. Now has another 840, so he can go back, get that critical cloak, and start putting out some big damage if he wants to. Seeing the distortion boots very quickly as a second item picked up instantly by XiaoWeiXiao in the mid lane. Link still looking to get something. He almost wanted to kill there for his first back, or I say second back rather, to complete his first item. And he wanted a little extra gold to do it. But Dexter not able to capitalize because XiaoWeiXiao is actually back doing his own window shopping. There's just Seraph in the top lane. Wow! Level on that W, bringing out the damage. Seraph finding himself in a very bad situation. Can he mark Ackerman? Puts the damage down to the same. This is going to be the help from XiaoWeiXiao. Is he in range? He's just out of range. No! Right there. They go for the melee attacks after that high five between Ackerman and XiaoWeiXiao in the end.
Outside of the Twisted Fate right there, a Shin first versus a Phage first from Seraph. So a big difference in trading at that point. And again, LMQ chose to gank top lane. So they are targeting Seraph. Whether or not CLG can capitalize on that from the bottom lane could ultimately decide this game. Something we just saw, Dexter had another Rengar ultimate burned bottom lane that did not yield results. And that opens them up to a counterattack because LMQ knows it's down.
And NoName already trying to ward and get in the face of CLG. 13 minutes in, the Lich Bane is finished by Ackerman. A huge spike for that lane. You already saw him almost 1v1 Seraph, so the next trade in damage is going to be very much in his favor. Pink ward so he can control the top lane is LMQ. Trying to make some moves now. 3-1 here as we start to get the fire started. Your third matchup of the day. We don't have a finished item yet by Dexter. He is starting to fall behind the 1-0-1 of NoName. He's getting the teams going. Ackerman trying to make a play here with the rest of the team. He just got something out of top lane. Why not try to get more? Knowing they're on a pink ward. However, we're going to thwart that right out.
LMQ is looking very poised right now.
Yeah.
You look at the way their team composition works. The Gragas and Tristana, strong early laners. Ackerman held against Seraph. NoName used his early jungle pressure to help XiaoWeiXiao withstand Orianna, then used it to get Gragas going. So really, the way they've committed their resources is just perfect so far.
Oh my gosh.
And a slippery Link in the mid lane.
Just the patience and knowledge of how LMQ executes and coordinates all of their ganks. Very nicely done. A lot of patience involved in it as well. They're not just blowing flashes or summoner spells. They're making their opponents do that. 14.5 minutes in, LMQ starts to put a lot of their focus on the mid lane. Vasilii with that rapid fire starting to be charged up. His Infinity Edge is finished! They get the jump onto more. Fast Fingers gets the rest of the team out and into a safe spot. The last turret shot along with Doublelift capitalizes on a kill of Moore, and he starts to bring in kills outside the lane, which he had trouble in. Very good for him, helping to get back in the game.
Yeah, they did get that kill with the Orianna Rengar ult combo. They need to make sure they are capitalizing on those. Another great shot from Doublelift as well. Second kill just from his Super Mega Death Rocket. Once again, those double buffs you see on Dexter are a particle bug. He does not have double buffs right now, just so we're completely clear. So his ultimate is on a regular cooldown, but he is building cooldown reduction, trying to get as many of those ultimates out as possible.
Really like Ackerman's playstyle on this lane up top. Rushing the Lich Bane, knowing he can keep up with the slow of his Qs and harassing Seraph so much. It's only the kill so far. Seraph has been able to withstand all of these attacks and keep himself healed up at 140 to 132 in CS. But it's the split push game these guys will create in the end. Let's see if they can do that and keep the priority top notch. Talisman of Ascension to come in for LMQ here.
After the Sightstone, so they're just looking for the positional edges on CLG right now. And an Infinity Edge complete rush by both AD carries. Expected from Doublelift on Jinx. Vasilii has done this on Trist, but most people have trended towards the static shiv just for the wave clear. Vasilii really counting on trying to jump ahead. He wants to get that Phantom Dancer complete as quickly as possible to reach hyper carry status. not really anyone that will be able to tank him all that well in this match, especially with Dexter looking to go the brutalizer route for cooldown reduction instead of the kill gem route that we see from some Rengar, wanting to maintain some semblance of damage, as Dexter usually does.
So far, one good ultimate from them. Great ward by NoName, actually locating 3 members of CLG. Very nicely done. That gives them control to say, all right, now we'll place wards here. These ones are harder to clear.
Yeah.
Right over by the pink ward again.
But with Dragon being up and Seraph needing to use his teleport immediately, CLG just doesn't seem to have the vision control. LMQ rushing down this Dragon as quickly as possible. They get it, fight on!
Oh, Vasilii! He goes down. XiaoWeiXiao finds himself in a pretty sore position, and he's forced to ghost out of that after Destiny right into the fight. And a very nice job by LMQ to be there a few seconds ahead of time. Getting LMQ Ackerman to blow his flash.
Dexter making up for lost time, getting a couple good Rengar ultimates off here. Did not stop the Dragon, but they do get a kill onto a very important target. And Twisted Fate is also not here to wave clear. Gragas is though. Let's see how much turret they can get.
Very nice job. Doublelift in great positioning on the right side of that turret. Left side, if you're looking from LMQs. He can give himself an exit. And if he gets hit by the cast there, blown to safety.
Pauses happen at the damnedest times, Riv.
Yeah, they can.
Occasionally.
That's why it's a pause. So we'll see this one on LMQ's side. That will be Vasilii. We'll see if something happened from that last altercation as he's spawning back onto the map. Maybe something wasn't right. So with that, LMQ does grab the Dragon. A little bit more gold in their favor. A 3,000 gold lead, and we're tied at 3-3 on kills here.
Yeah, but we could take a look at that last fight while we're sitting on this pause and watch how Dexter has the ball. The thing is, he gets the root onto Vasilii as well, so he had no chance of reacting. XiaoWeiXiao did come in afterwards, but it was to no avail because they're not going to be able to close onto Seraph. That was the kill that propelled CLG into this mid lane push that they are currently doing on the pause screen.
That instant bola from Rengar. It's something that's scary. You see Rengar sometimes and then not. It's almost like you don't see him enough to understand the range of the bola or how to dodge it just right. It's a very deceiving linked skill shot.
I do want to touch on the gold right here. Seldom do we notice how much gold Twisted Fate gets from his loaded dice passive, which gives him extra gold when he last hits minions.
He's a baller.
792 from his loaded dice passive, as well as the objective control that LMQ has, puts him in a 1,600 gold advantage over Link's Orianna, which could turn the tides pretty quick. He is farming at an impeccable rate right now. 17.5 minutes in, almost 200 CS.
When is it not crazy? And something like that, it obviously makes plays because he's going to be bigger. He's going to be better in fights. But that's his Zanya's faster. That's playmaking that the team can execute on. And it's something that he is not afraid to do. Even if he dies while he's doing it, usually the team can pick back up because they're all so on the same page that errors really don't affect their fight capabilities.
And as we progress this game more towards the late game, CLG is actually the ones with the impetus to create action. Gragas and Twisted Fate are really, really good at wave clearing. I think one of the things that is creating Gragas as a premier top laner, more so than just his strong laning early in the game, is his ability to wave clear through the mid and late game. But we're in the middle of a fight!
Yeah, starting back up indeed. They did just take down the turret, so there was a bit of time that passed before this fight began. The turret went down and LMQ tried to initiate this. One more hit, Doublelift's getting excited! Doublelift gets another one, and he's still excited. They're gonna have to get out of this one so he does not get any more presence off of that fight.
Speaking of playmaking right there, it was a great heel bait by Aphromoo to get NoName to take his Sonic Wave into the fray and started the assault from CLG. Plus now they have some free time on the turrets as the wave clear is too low to defend. Even gold.
Huge influx coming in there from CounterLogic Gaming in kills, but mainly for Doublelift. He's going to be able to come back quite strong after that. Cleanse comes up big for him.
Yeah, big thing right there. Vasilii is here.
Vasilii's here.
I guarantee you, but he's in the base, so it's not that big a deal. Aphromoo takes most of the damage during his Unbreakable Shield, so it doesn't burst him out. And then with the Q landed, Aphro's like, take it. Aphro actually brought heal this time because CLG likes to have a heal on the support.
Yep.
They trap NoName in the fray. Seraph is distracting the other three. Doublelift picks up the pieces. 3-1-2 now.
It'll be good for him. They're sharing across the board. 1 kill for pretty much everybody except for Aphromoo. He's being a good support. 0-1-5. NoName.
Rengar.
Putting down a ward could be very scary. Dexter goes for it. That's going to be the combo. Wow! Couldn't even blink, and now it starts to come into effect for Dexter and the team.
It took CLG a few tries to realize that maybe we should use Rengar with Orianna, because that's when we're going to be getting the kills. The previous ganks did not have that same synergy.
Like one and the other.
You can see the lethality of it all, because Dexter just obliterated NoName right there with the help of Link's Shockwave.
Something that LMQ is really going to have to consider. A few more wards to be placed out, or at least not warding alone with the potential of being taken down that fast. CLG wants to gain ground. They lost something there. They want to get, or they gained something there, so now they want more.
I think Aphro just saved some of those minions from dying with his Unbreakable Shield. But I could be wrong right there. I'm pretty sure he blocked a lot of damage. If so, that allowed them to take that turret much more easily.
Breaking down the turret's defenses, having minions. Good plays. Very smart. Clear calls coming from CLG.
Clear calls, good plays coming out very, very well right now. Look at this. They were down 2,000 gold. Now they're up 500.
Yeah.
And really looking to make the plays. Looks like Dexter's going to be going for a Ghost Blade. So they're really wanting to evaporate that first target they find. With the lockdown and the Shockwave, Dexter wants to get a few hits in.
Oh my word. They just want to ping out that. They want this fight. They really want to start a fight.
Honestly, with vision control of the Baron, they
No
are
way.
not scared of going
Wow.
in. Think about it. Think of the fear CLG has instilled into LMQ up until this point.
And those wards.
With the last few catches, plus they have fantastic pink board control. All the pink boards in the world won't start TF, but I don't know if they have enough time. Here's the fight!
Teleport, he's gonna come in. Is it gonna go down in favor of Team Solo Mid? Oh my god, it's stolen by NoName! They get the Baron! They shut down Doublelift! LMQ completely wipes out Counter Logic Gaming! Link does what he can in a valiant attempt to stay alive! But they ace CLG and grab Baron with the steal!
That is about the worst thing that can possibly happen to you as a team that is just gaining momentum. Not only did they get trapped in the Baron pit because LMQ collapsed on, the Baron was stolen away from right under their noses. An early game Baron too. LMQ just has complete control of the game. CLG tried too hard to make a play, and they just handed LMQ the game on a silver platter.
An instant 7,000 gold swing in favor of LMQ. What an amazing push to go for Baron. NoName coming up huge, grabbing that one for himself.
Vasilii though,
Whee! He's safe. Whoa!
takes a ride.
Ackerman sucked in his gut on that one, gets past the rocket as it flies by. No continue on the initiation coming in from CLG, and now they have to be wondering what to do next.
Oh my god. That swing. This is how to lose a game 101. The red card once again, and the ultimate. The wild cards luckily hit Doublelift on the left side. He was killed immediately. But the Baron steal from NoName also helping. Whether or not that Baron steal happened, the ace was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
When CLG got trapped in the Baron pit right there. As soon as XiaoWeiXiao revealed CLG with the Twisted Fate ultimate, they had to run. If it was a 50-minute Baron, maybe they could do it, because the Baron wouldn't have had them so low and so vulnerable. But a 20-minute Baron is remarkably dangerous to a team doing it. And that was just a big disaster there for CLG.
Oh my word. Oh my word, no way! What a play! Ackerman just completely outplays Seraph! Wow!
And it just keeps going
The dominoes
downhill
are falling.
for CLG. More kills for LMQ. Spectacular play from Ackerman, but then Link gets caught on a well, and guess what? It just keeps coming.
What is he doing? Oh, wait a minute! Oh my god, the home guard Ackerman comes in, and he wants to share a cup with Doublelift.
Death cap right after his Lichbane as well. He is an unstoppable beast right now. And they still have this Baron buff. That's the crazy thing. They're about to take this inhibitor, no problem.
It's like the last fight didn't even end. They're keeping it going. Now onto the inhibitors. From the bottom lane to the mid lane, Ackerman somehow makes himself an omnipresent force and continues to pummel down members of CLG by himself.
Yeah. Well, we saw Dexter try and pull off this combo, but he jumped too far away and the ball snapped back to Link, so they couldn't pull off the combo. And then since Seraph had already died, things that were bad became much worse. More
oh my gosh.
an unstoppable beast of death sentencing. And yeah, the teleport comes in afterwards from Ackerman. Check out this Lichbane Death Cap.
Oh, look, you see how he body slammed through the wall to dodge the chompers? Man, Fat Man reflexes.
Nowhere is safe. Jeez.
Seraph trying to lay down some ground. They have to figure out what they can be, or where they can be safe, I should say, and how they can do it. So far, getting a few wards in, but CLG is in damage control mode now after that huge lead by LMQ. Now sitting 11,000. Wow, LMQ just completely turned down the afterburners.
Did they ever? To be fair, CLG gave it to him a little bit. With that Baron.
Yeah.
But LMQ is a team that is willing to pile in all at once.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation about fighting and stealing the Baron right there. It was like, yeah, they're doing it, let's go. They had full vision from XiaoWeiXiao's Twisted Fate, and then everyone knew exactly what to do when they got in there.
It's a little map control.
He wants minions.
Go ahead and clear out a turret for himself. So LMQ picking up some of the pieces and bringing it all to the front of CLG's base. Very strong game. LMQ making it to look 3-1, to go 3-1 against CLG here over the summer split.
And also, if they close this victory, which they most likely will, they have a 2-game lead on the entire North American LCS, heading into the final 6 games of the split.
It's been hard for any team to create a spread at the top.
You
We've
know.
had 4-way ties this season.
Yeah. LMQ was in that 4-way tie for first just 2 weeks ago. Looking to be the lone survivors.
They're trying to defy what everybody said. Middle of the pack team, as the season would go on, they're keeping themselves right on the top of that podium, that's for sure.
Blast attack for Dexter.
Good habit jab. They get onto NoName. He can always safeguard it to a very easy, safe position. Vasilii able to take down Seraph. That's the heal for the team that they're relying on. The summoner for Aphromoo still up, but this is not a bait situation like last time. It's going to be LMQ with a pedal to the metal now and inhibitor turrets.
That was so much damage onto Seraph as he was completely useless in that fight.
They have so much to think
be a
about.
Split pusher as well, but they are too far behind to even think about split pushing. This inhibitor turret looks indefensible.
XiaoWeiXiao just eating turret shots to the face like a boss. And it's the zap in, so that gives them continuous vision if they leave the base for a quick second. Link getting into position. No shockwave is up though, so he's got to be careful. It looks like they will know that LMQ has retreated for the time being. You can see right after the 20-minute mark, that increase says Baron.
That's the sharpest spike we have seen.
Yeah.
I would say this split. Now up 13,000 gold?
Yep, 13.
27 minutes in.
More than that, they got the...
After being slightly down at 20 minutes.
It would be a miraculous stop if they could put up a wall big enough to shut down LMQ right now. 40 seconds on Baron. Easily LMQs with what we've seen before. It hasn't been a plethora of items CLG's been putting in their inventory. They've been struggling since that Baron. It's LMQ that's finished their next core items. Doublelift picks up red buff. You can see the buddy system here, making sure they can stay safe. There's not even that many wards to keep them that safe on their side of the jungle. They're just doing what they can at this point.
And it's now all about just stopping the bleeding. It seems like CLG is completely done here. Baron is up, but the catch potential from LMQ is so high. Death sentences, XiaoWeiXiao porting in with a death cap and his Anya's. Not even needing a Void Staff yet because who's had time to build magic resist for CLG? XiaoWeiXiao is just so farmed. They're doing a bit of a split push now, but they could very easily play around another Baron. They may not need to, though.
No, inhibitors open in the mid lane and in the bottom. So much control from LMQ right now, playing a very methodical League of Legends matchup versus CLG.
Here comes Rengar.
Oh, wow, whoa! Vasilii, he needs to use the fast fingers. Both summoners to get out of that one alive. Oh! The sniper! Doublelift hits it! Can he get excited enough? The rest of the team is hit. Doublelift has put himself now in a 2v1 situation. Another hit! Triple kill for Doublelift. The quadra kill is right in his eyes. The zap hits the backside of Ackerman. He is going to be going down. Tries to hit up. Oh my god! And he completely zeroes him out for the quadra kill retribution takedown.
I cannot believe Ackerman killed Doublelift right there. Will that be enough to stop the Baron? Because CLG just wiped out 4 members. They got this Baron, hands down. This could be a swing back in the game. If CLG comes back from this, it will be one of the most remarkable comebacks I've ever seen.
Vasilii almost didn't even know what happened for a few seconds.
Well, it's the duration of that bola strike, right? He couldn't react as it comes from stealth for the most part.
Wow.
That was the start of it. And they had XiaoWeiXiao stunned. That was the second part. Couldn't even Zhonya's. Doesn't matter what your gold lead is if your 2 carries die before they can use spells.
That cleanse. That
But
cleanse.
how much health does Doublelift have? Here, basically a full health bar. Ackerman says, you know what? Time to tango.
Jeez.
Good God. And then the red buff finished him off.
It's like a boomer. If you kill him, he just explodes on you. Oh. CLG is making sure they don't lose anything off of doing that. Obviously, it's going to be a push since LMQ has just prepped all of this nonsense they've been pushing down so far very well. CLG recuperating a little bit there. A fight they want does protect the inhibitor. That looks bad for LMQ. If they can keep hitting those ultimates, that's going to be very good. But I'm not guessing Vasilii is going to be standing by himself like that again.
LMQ is going to have to be a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
Due to the threat of Rengar Orianna. They need to itemize some magic resistance. You can see the McHale's on more now. He needs to be very fast-fingered with that.
Yeah.
Someone gets hit with an empowered bola. It's that 1.75 second root that Dexter can throw down on someone.
And if you're getting hit with that, you're getting hit with Shockwave. So
absolutely.
It's even longer. You can consider your options there.
And oftentimes, even if you did McHale's, the Shockwave's still going to hit you,
Yeah.
and the damage is going to come out. It's just a matter of how long Rengar is going to be wailing on you while you're locked down.
You don't usually have very long if that's happening. It's usually a few swipes. Your life is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. 8-4 in turrets. That means 3 stand on the map for CounterLogic Gaming. 2 Nexus turrets and a top, but 2 inhibitors are open. LMQ can do whatever they want whenever they want to create that pressure.
With the Baron buff from CLG, it really feels like this is going to curtail the LMQ aggression for quite some time here. As long as CLG can stick together for the most part and not get caught by Twisted Fate ultimates, they would be able to stall. But CLG this whole game has kind of had one motto, and it's let's make plays. They had that 27-minute loss to EG yesterday, which quite honestly, if it were a different team, they would have lost in 45 minutes or so.
Right.
CLG tries to force fights where they're behind in games because of the chance that they come back in the game.
Yep.
CLG was forcing 15,000 gold down without inhibitor turrets, and they get Doublelift to quadra kill.
Yep.
Because their play style and their motto as a team, they're one of the only teams in the North American LCS that can make plays like this and is willing to try.
Yep.
So it just shows you that even though they're still down a large margin, because they have a Baron, they're not going to sit around and farm. They're going to try and make a play.
Oh, and the composition breeds that mentality right here with the Rengar being able to get in with the Shockwave. It's already been used once, and CLG being 12,000 gold down is pressuring mid.
Seraph is taking an outer turret, but Ackerman is taking an inhibitor turret, and a Lichbane Groggs with that much AP makes pretty short work of turrets. Seraph's got to get back, but GS might try to interrupt it.
CLG very much out of place. The reason that they went down to EG yesterday, or one of the main reasons, was coverage on the map, focusing on too much when they were actually losing even more. Now Ackerman getting top turret, and they're about to take a second outer.
Gold-wise, it's a very close to even trade, but once again,
position
exposed inhibitors against LMQ means the next time CLG loses a fight, the game is over.
This is definitely LMQ singing a different tune. The previous matchups are in favor of 2 to LMQ, 1 to CLG, but CLG has always taken the first inhibitor. They've always been the first to initiate in this game, never on the back foot.
It's actually kind of interesting. When we look at these teams as a whole, we always talk about LMQ just shooting and shooting and taking all the shots. But CLG gets extremely aggressive when they play against LMQ, almost like they're trying to preempt whatever LMQ is doing next. It's gotten them into trouble. If we actually think about the first LMQ game, what happened? CLG tried to do Baron, XiaoWeiXiao came with Yasuo.
Oh my god.
Got like a triple kill.
Yep.
Same thing happened this game, except he was on Twisted Fate. So definitely some learning to do for CLG against LMQ, regardless of the eventual outcome. CLG is now trying to play in spite of their mistake and still win.
Really not a team of LMQ is that you can call their bluff. They're going to walk up to every fight,
right.
Dukes up. I think CLG realizes that now, and they're in the avoidance strategy of split pushing. Ackerman easily able to clear out top lane, not going tank Gragas this game. Full AP, strong power with the Lich Bane first buy, and he has been able to wreak havoc in that top lane. We keep looking at Nidalee as a champion coming back, and so far in the games, she's had to get a bit of a lead, really, to take over her lane.
She really has. This makes 2 dominating Nidalee games and 2 lackluster Nidalee games. We've seen in the North American LCS. Seraph falling behind a little bit. Gets a little bit manhandled by Ackerman, and now just trying to farm up enough to become a split push threat. They're really using him as just the lane janitor at this point. Clean up the side lane so the CLG can group up as 4.
And they are grouped, trying to make something happen. Squeeze a mistake out of LMQ, if that's even possible right now. Going to slide through the wall. Whee! He'll be safe.
Yeah, CLG hasn't seen him yet. So Ackerman's got to be a little bit sneaky.
I wonder how fast he can take an inhibitor down. And then this is going to help if anybody even wants to trade with him. He's just going to headbutt you and walk away.
It won't be excessively fast. Inhibitors do have 4,000 health. So he's not the fastest inhibitor taker. He's just pretty good at it. Tristana could obviously do it much quicker.
What a dark map. So much patience. Nobody can see a thing right now. They're just like, yeah, we'll take some small camps.
Well, think about how much map movement has been going on from the foot of CLG's base to the foot of LMQ's base with a Baron in between. Setting up wards in that world is actually quite difficult.
Yeah, need a buddy system for sure.
It's just a matter of time. They just haven't had the physical time to walk to places they need warded.
XiaoWeiXiao's calling this one out.
This could be a spectacular catch, but more just noticed it. There's the ward right there. Aphro realizes they must have seen me coming. They would have put it here.
Oh man, if LMQ can make it to structures, double Lich Bane now, they're going to be crushing down.
Here we go again. Here we go again. CLG at the Baron pit. It's up in 14 seconds. But they have 3 exposed inhibitors, so LMQ has a huge positional edge here. They have many more cards in their hand to play with.
The only thing in CLG's favor is that all these lanes are not pushed.
And the fact that they got a quadra kill last time they actually had a heads-up team fight. But this time, Vasilii has a Banshee's Veil. So it is way harder to catch him out.
Mikhail's for help on the side of Moore. Fast fingers have already been on the exhaust, so he's not going to be missing that Mikhail's for Vasilii. XiaoWeiXiao and Ackerman both rocking Lich Bane, Rabadons, and the Zanyas. Huge power coming out of them. Not even really being able to get mitigated just yet. A few Banshee's Veils and the Spectral Cowl for a bit of safety. CLG now tries their hand at trying to dictate the push. Where are you going, XiaoWeiXiao? Looks like he's going to be doing some structure damage. No, he's coming back home.
CLG making a real aggressive move, as usual, against LMQ. But that opens them up to a lot of vulnerabilities. Will XiaoWeiXiao come in? Will they go for the open inhibitors? And what can CLG do about it?
XiaoWeiXiao realizes he walked over a ward, so he's trying to take the long way out.
They want to jump. They were expecting LMQ to be closer. What's coming? There it is!
It's more! Will he be able to get this? They don't even need the shockwave! What a hold! Great communication by CLG, knowing the first bit of damage would be enough, and they still have a huge amount of control to go on to this next fight with.
It is just the support, though, remember. XiaoWeiXiao still up with full damage. No Destiny this time, though. Huge wave in the top lane that CLG does have to manage before they pull any funny business.
That is going to be coming in the bottom lane, too, Jat. Those are 2.5 stacked up waves, almost 3 to 4 full.
Are they gonna
and
try
this is going to be a desperation move. CLG is actually calling it off, and they're going to head back to the base. Smart move.
The catch was great. It gave them a little bit of map control. It meant that LMQ could not play a game of chicken with CLG around the Baron pit. Also, the ultimate cooldown from Rengar. 60 seconds, but Link gets caught!
No way. This could not happen right now for CounterLogic Gaming. They can still hold it. Link was a big factor here. The last shot's not going to take down Aphromoo. They get out a lot of summoners there that could be big for LMQ. They're going for Baron, and that may just be the biggest aspect of that fight.
Yeah, that was just CLG's mistake right there. Got to see exactly how it happened again. Just because a catch like that is inexcusable at this point. He is all off in his own. Ackerman gives a nice flash body slam, but there was just Ackerman soloing him right there. Even in the 4v5, because Seraph was back, it was a 4v4 and the initiation happened. Aphromoo needs to be leading the way in that charge.
Very sore position for CLG to be in here. Could be a final push from LMQ.
3 exposed inhibitors with the Baron buff, and Link isn't alive. When Link comes up, they're going to have to try the combo, but it's a telegraphed combo. LMQ should know exactly where it's coming from, and they might just run away before it happens.
They already have pink wards down to make sure it's not a home guard Rengar coming out. They're going to be backing off already.
Yeah, TF ult, actually, to make sure Dexter wasn't coming in from behind them right there.
Very nicely played. CLG trying to make some moves. Dexter still with his ult up, and all of the ults except for Aphromoo's right now. That one's coming off a cooldown, and CLG will have their last attempt as LMQ continues to pepper the front side of the base. Mid inhib, they get taken down. Still working on the rest.
But the fact that they didn't get 2,
right,
I mean, CLG can continue to farm. Doublelift has a huge amount of damage right now. If we compare him with Vasilii, the CS is just off the charts. Not a great game for Vasilii. Getting caught out a little bit.
Right.
The fact that it's been a very rotational focused game. XiaoWeiXiao clears the wave before Vasilii can get his mitts on it, so he just hasn't been able to get the free lane CS. Whereas Doublelift, since CLG has been on their back foot so much, has many a wave to clear. So 4 big time damage items on Doublelift. And Vasilii actually just now completing his last Whisper on his last back to base.
Slowly but surely, LMQ again depletes all the resources on the map, soaking up more win for themselves. It's just about the goal they've had all game after they got that Baron ace onto CLG. Very interesting, or very, I should say, kudos to CLG for holding off after having that fight lost.
Whoa,
Simple.
He burns everything.
Simple.
Flash and ultimate. So now Dexter can't create a counterattack. He was safe just from the flash.
Talisman of Ascension, burning both of those. You can see the fear that LMQ has now put into CLG coming into this game. Good block out with Unbreakable, but it looks like they are going to be able to drop the inhibitor. Vasilii, 17, almost max range Triss, can't be touched on the back line.
CLG needed that Rengar ultimate to be able to defend that inhibitor. Once the threat was gone, it meant LMQ was fearless. They're going to cycle for the 3rd now, knowing it is still down. Slow and steady after making a couple missteps here, LMQ trying to finish what they started 15 minutes ago.
Slowly but surely winning the race all game for LMQ. 42 minutes on the clock, almost level 18 across the board, and the amount of poke that they have, CLG is trying to lay that out. They haven't been able to execute it on the offense at all. It's all been defensive poke, and that just means the Ackerman has been jumping into their face. We haven't seen too many initiations from XiaoWeiXiao with the Zanyas, but it's not really something they've had to do. That'll show you LMQ's control all game. They're walking up to these fights and getting what they want.
Well, 35% cooldown reduction on Rengar means Thrill of the Hunt is back up for Dexter. This is their last chance. They have to go now.
Soon, almost going for broke on that. We see NoName getting caught in the backside.
Oh, no.
Dexter gets kicked out. He will not be able to zero anybody out from that position. Vasilii gets caught up, but he's on the backside now after the rocket jump. Going right through the middle. Doublelift scores a point in the uprights. The wild card's just missing. Aphromoo gets locked in. The heals come out. The reset for Vasilii isn't enough to continue in range. And there's the Zanya's play coming from XiaoWeiXiao. He goes down valiantly so the team can continue pursuit. Doublelift, wait a minute. He can clean this up. Doublelift going for another triple kill in the game. It's only going to save more for so long. He's going to drop the Baron off of that. Another quadra kill. Make that 2 for Doublelift in one game, and CLG is still breathing.
With 3 inhibitors down, Doublelift picks up another quadra kill, mind you. This minion game in itself is actually going to be pretty difficult for Doublelift to be able to clear out, but holy crap, Riv. The game will go on. This is the highest action 42-minute game I've seen in a while. That fight, though. All right, so it was the absolute last chance for CLG to go in. And at this point, because of the Banshee's Veil, Vasilii could react immediately. And you could tell they had their eyes on Rengar, but the thing is, the shockwave was still up. And that's something that Vasilii had forgotten about a little bit. A great catch there by Link to get enough damage down. And then honestly, just poor target selection right here by LMQ. Doublelift is so low, and he's the only one that can defend against this many people. So when XiaoWeiXiao comes in here, throw the card at Doublelift, and they win the game. But he decides to finish off the Ori instead. Doublelift stays alive. Vasilii jumps far, far too far in, just trying to pick up kills because they thought they'd won the game. Wow. And then Doublelift is able to just clean up. because poor target selection and a little bit of showmanship, honestly, from LMQ stops him from ending the game right away. 2 quadra kills in the same game for Doublelift.
This is getting pretty crazy. I'm sure Doublelift absolutely feels like he can carry this game now.
If they can hold off for their 3 inhibitors to come up again, we're back where we started.
This is the time where you hear all of CLG, even the coaches say, you know, when the game gets to it, we kind of just let Doublelift do his thing. And that was Doublelift doing his thing right there. LMQ could not relax at all, or he will take advantage. 2 quadra kills now, 11 4-4 as he picks up the Mercurial, helping himself stay safe within the game. And now he can keep himself even safer with double cleanse.
And Riv, to pull it back to what's happening right now, lane management is the name of the game. CLG needs the side lanes pushed out at least for until the next wave arrives in order to pull off an initiation, because if CLG initiates with the waves not managed, they will lose their Nexus turrets. So they have to somehow do that while holding this middle turret so Dexter can get off his ultimate, but LMQ is not giving them a window.
Doublelift has top priority, Seraph has bottom priority. They will lose mid inhib here. A few more shots coming in. They're doing a great job at actually holding it off, but it's only a matter of time. Forward movement, they do hold it. Very nicely played. Onto Ackerman, wait a minute. That's a huge fight. Moore goes so low. This is going to be very big. Doublelift on the outside. Seraph staying alive. Ackerman, one more shot, and he's down now. It's going to be huge plays. Doublelift now going down. That's the DPS they needed, and LMQ is bleeding as they step into the base of CLG.
XiaoWeiXiao pulls the card onto Doublelift and ends up finishing off the game. But boy, did LMQ make him work. CLG make him work for it right there. This will be the push to end the game.
Doublelift had a double cleanse, and the damage came so fast he wasn't even able to use it. A dissonance could drop XiaoWeiXiao here. Puts it on. Almost lives, gets a last hit, but he's got to focus the Nexus. That's where LMQ is. Vasilii still alive on the outside. A half-health Nexus. Link goes down. Seraph could end. Vasilii gets the Banshee's veil. Gets Ackerman. No! Ackerman with the lick fade. Putting down the strength. And he is going to lock down the game for the team from top lane and in the base of CLG. LMQ drops CLG 46 minutes in.
Holy crap, Riv. 46 minutes of absolute chaos right there for LMQ. That's what you want in a first place matchup in the LCS. Just teams fighting it out again and again and again before the game is finally all said and done. Geez, those last fights, the power that a late game TF holds when Doublelift got a little bit too antsy there. That man right there finished him off. And then Ackerman was an absolute monster this time. 11, 2, and 8. This game on Gragas alone.
Amazing play from him. 4 games of Gragas across the board. 13, 6, and 31 is his score. He's keeping it consistent on that. And LMQ continues their win streak.
They do. That's 6 games in a row. And it's also 2 losses in a row for CLG. And those were not happy faces we saw on the CLG side. Right there. Aphromoo not happy about that, because why would you be? Think of what CLG did in this game and how sour they must feel about coming away with a loss.
Yeah.
They made that Baron call that was a 7,000 gold swing in the other direction. And then after that, still managed to win many team fights.
You have to consider.
So basically meaning that if they don't make that one horrendous call that ruined the game for them, they should have won this game hands down. They clearly had a superior team fight. They clearly had the coordination to pull things off, but they still get the loss. And that's why they look so
That's
distraught.
exactly where my mind is, chat. The what if. That Baron completely swung everything. And like you were saying, the thing that steps out in my mind is that they did so well after. Their damage control is very good. But again, we see a Rengar pick not able to do enough for a team. A little too late of a wait for 6.
I actually feel like the Rengar, once he got going, was doing just what they wanted him to be doing. It was really the Baron, because even after that, the way that they were using it to initiate the fights, pretty much always getting a jump on LMQ, but it wasn't enough.
Not enough. Doublelift doing what he can. Double quadra in the game. You can only do so much. Your backpack can only be so big.
True.
But if they're all just rushing down the base, then you're probably going to lose that backpack. So to break down that wild match, we're going to throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thanks, Riv. Guys, an exciting win by LMQ, and they now have a solid hold on first place with a 2-game lead.
Yeah, giant lead.
The longest or the biggest lead that we've seen yet this split, which has to say something. All right, but I want to jump right into it because there was a ton of action in this game. Let's first talk about just the picks in the game, specifically the Ori and the Rengar combination. Kobe, talk to me about that combination and how you play against it.
So it was pretty interesting because XiaoWeiXiao has already played against this combo earlier this week, and he survived, as TF specifically. So he was able to play further back, didn't get ganked by the first Rengar ganks because CLG choose to use their Rengar ganks bottom. And it's pretty funny between these two teams. Rengar ganks are very similar to TF ganks. As soon as they hit 6, one of the lanes is going to have one of those unseen ganks. And both of the teams choose opposite sides of the map. CLG chooses bottom lane, fails twice, whereas LMQ choose top lane and actually get this Gragas going, which ends up being the story of the whole game. Ackerman on Gragas, the only man left alive at the Nexus.
Yeah, and once you've got kind of that sort of situational lead like that, where you've got a part of the map that's going to win and keep creating pressure, you can just play around that. And LMQ, because they've been playing together for so long, playing an aggressive style for so long, they've played enough games of, okay, Ackerman's the big guy on the field. They're used to playing around Ackerman. They're used to setting up his, the situations where he's going to create pressure, he's going to pull attention away, right? They can defend while he split pushes faster than Seraph does all these things. And it's like, great, they're making the right calls in these split push scenarios.
So let's talk about then, just briefly, the Gragas and the Nidalee matchup, because as Jat said during the game, we now have Nidalees that have gone 2-2, some really lackluster games, some really impressive games, and they've been against all different kinds of matchups, Lulu, Gragas, Aurelia, things like that. So where is this Nidalee pick going to fall into place? Where's the comfort zone for that champion?
I think she still is sort of the premier lane bully champion. There's like a couple of matchups that can be turned, but because of the way the reworked worked, that she now has to be melee form for about half the time to do anything meaningful, she now counts as a melee matchup. Like, Lulu can, like, suck in lane and still be useful. She can wave clear. Nidalee does not have that kind of luxury. She has to go in and brawl. And, well, when you're against a really fed Gragas, who's, by the way, I think building the correct top lane build, the Lichbane first build, I think that's the right way to go about it, you don't have any ways to play around this matchup anymore. Like, if you're Renekton and you start out 0-4, you're Jackson, you start out 0-4, or Nidalee start out 0-4, it's going to be the same kind of situation. And it's a matter of getting your Nidalee ahead so that she can actually use her forms without dying.
So you got to remember that these changes are still recent as well. And especially for LCS players, they don't like to play on the live patches. They like to wait and play on the patches that are actually used in the LCS. So they even delay their practice time on things that are new, like the new Nidalee rework, for longer than that. That being said, I've been talking to a lot of high-ranked solo queue top laners, and the consensus is, like, Nidalee can still have an advantage over Gragas if the lane is left alone.
Yeah.
The lane was not left alone there, so you can't really blame Seraph.
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment. So now I want to move further into the game and talk about the fact that LMQ had a lead, but there was a brief moment in time where CLG kind of opened up the map for themselves. So 17 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, we're going to pull up a replay here. Fight in the mid lane. Kobe, walk me through this in terms of the utilization of the heal bait and how the fight plays out.
Well, it's this. Looks like Aphromoo already used his ulti. So let's roll this one. Just Ackerman trying to defend the turret. So they're trying to time this. The turret's already gone down. Shockwave only hits more. That's only the support. Take a look at Aphromoo as the heal bait. So NoName gets sucked in by the heal bait, and he actually kicks Aphromoo the wrong direction too because of the flash. So Aphromoo drawing in the jungler pretty much all by himself right there.
So the follow-up question here, Freak, you can answer this one, is what do you do now as LMQ when you've just lost a pretty substantial team fight and lost a turret on the back end of that in order to get back into the game, fix your mindset and all that?
Yeah, well, the cool thing is for LMQ is they have a really good fallback pattern. They've got a Tristana, and they've got a winning top laner, so the split push isn't going to work for CLG. They've got a Twisted Fate, so you have even more tools against split push because you can pick people off. He also wave clears, by the way, and you have Tristana, who also wave clears. So you've got like great anti-siege and great anti-split push, and so CLG, even though they have like a gold lead, they don't have gold in the right places because they're still not winning top lane. And so LMQ gets to say, look, we'll play the map, we'll play vision, and if you screw up, we'll capitalize.
And it's one of the reasons why it kind of forced CLG to make those more aggressive calls. You can see in the game, they're taking a lot of chances because they know this.
A perfect example of that would be the Baron fight, which we're going to pull up, or I guess the Baron steal, and then the subsequent fight. So Kobe, this is a perfect place for you to walk us through that mindset.
Baron. So maybe that mentality that we're just going over had something to do with this Baron call, where CLG were feeling pressured simply by what the standing was with LMQ at this time and the champions that they are fielding. But all right, we'll watch it in action. The damage that CLG can do to this Baron is pretty quick. But again, going versus TF and Gragas, this is kind of like going against one of the old Gragas before the rework, because Ackerman's full AP. Anytime, that's extremely dangerous. Baron gets that magic buff, debuff. TF plus Gragas is so scary being grouped up at any time, but especially inside Baron buff, and they target Doublelift, immediately taking off the biggest threat from CLG. You can see the whole game long, it was all about Doublelift and how much damage he could bring. If you take him out of the fight at the beginning, there's no chance.
Yeah, and honestly, the fact that Ackerman was big was just such a big factor. We keep going back to it, but it's so true. The bottom lane was empty when that Baron fight was going on, right? If your top laner's ahead, like if you're Dignitas in most games, like Zion Spartan's down there and he's pushing the bottom waves, and you're pulling the other top laner, Ackerman in this case, to defend you. If he wants to stop Baron, he's got a TP in. It's very telegraphed. You know he's coming. Plus, somehow LMQ needs wards in there, which they didn't have because CLG swept it properly. But because Seraph can't create pressure, because of all the ganks ganks by the mid laner into the top lane, because Seraph can't create pressure by himself, he's got to be inside the Baron pit, where Nidalee doesn't want to be. She's not a team fighter, she's a flanker, or she's a split pusher. And the fact that he can't separate the team means the team fights go right the way LMQ wants. The 5-on-5s, they get to walk in, Ackerman gets first strike, and oh look, that's how the fight goes.
Well, we saw Ackerman 100-0 Doublelift at the tail end of that Quadrica, which was just phenomenal. But I also want to tip my hat.
And Link.
And
catching Link at times too.
I just want to tip my hat to CLG though, in their ability to stall the game out and then even win fights 12K down, things like that. And my question there is, will CLG be able to kind of turn their season around, right? They've had a couple close games, a couple devastating losses. Are they going to be able to pull it together in time for playoffs, and what do they need to do in order to be there?
I feel like CLG can pretty much do more of the same. They're a very good team fighting team, and they have very good instincts in general, right? Like the fact that they do go and try to take these chances. I actually could hear Doublelift yelling to his team, like as they were defending, and that was actually the beginning of that first quadrant for Doublelift. I hear him yelling like something, guys, this is our one chance. And so like everyone knows, like we're gonna go for something hard, get ready, and it was the Rengar Orianna combo, right? The ball with the cat inside of it, and that's good. Like that's CLG making good choices, and all the CLG LMQ games are entertaining and close and interesting because CLG knows they're going to fight tooth and nail for every advantage. They have the right mindset. It's just these little things like, well, the top lane matchup got flipped. Oh, our bottom lane ganks didn't work out. Like you get those little small pieces fixed, and you're good.
Yeah, I think if they had cleaned up that early game, then the plans that CLG come up with, even when they are behind like this, as you can see, we're very close to working out and coming back.
Yeah. All right, final question. LMQ, as we said, is now 2 games in the lead. We've got 6 games left in the season. My question is, they showed a little hubris there, going into the fountain diving and things like that. Is that kind of comfortability and maybe that feeling of we are the top team gonna bite them when they're making their way into the playoffs?
I think that's classic Vasilii, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
Right, it's kind of like complexity where like they're gonna go for those plays regardless. Like whether they were number 1 or number 8, LMQ would make that same play just because they're always gonna go for the hand play. And 1 out of every 10 times it'll be the wrong choice, and that was one of them. Thankfully, they had the goal lead to pull it back, but that's not just hubris. That's just LMQ.
Yeah.
Really the answer.
And 90% success rate is pretty damn good.
Right.
So I'll take that. Anyway, there's still more league action coming your way. After a quick break, we'll dive into our final LCS game, Curse versus Cloud9. Don't touch that mouse.
I'm so fancy.
I hate that song.
You already know.
No, that song
I'm in
sucks.
the fast lane from LA to Tokyo.
Teleport, he's gonna come in. Is it gonna go down in favor of Team Solo mid? Oh my god, it's stolen by NoName! No. They get the Baron! They shut down Doublelift! LMQ completely wipes out Counterlogic Gaming! The quadra kill is right in his eyes! The zap hits the backside of Ackerman! He is gonna be going down! Tries to hit him! Oh my god! And he completely zeroes him out!
You got that. Back up. You might die. You got that. Nice.
Nice. That's a huge fight. Moore goes so low. This is going to be very big. Doublelift on the outside. Seraph staying alive. Ackerman, 1 more shot, and he's down now. It's going to be huge plays. Doublelift now going down.